how would you have done it? So you, like we said, you had heard at least that there was the plan to pull out, which a lot of presidents had said before and never done. So it might have been like a false flag in some ways for guys who were on the ground. Like, yeah, okay, I'll believe this when I see it.
Sure.
But once it's actually going down, obviously it was a clusterfuck that's been established. But how could you have done it where it wasn't, considering the fact that at that point the ship had sailed on the whole, oh, we beat the Taliban. The Taliban was very much going to win on a percentage basis, and the Afghan government had already failed.
I would say the commitment to define goals from the beginning need to be established.
What do you mean by that?
Okay, I'll tell a quick story that kind of embodies this point. We did surveillance on a particular area. And in this particular area, we found a defensive position where the Taliban would kill everybody in this particular valley. So ANA troops would roll by in their convoys, and they would get ticked up from this defensive position at the top of this hill. So being the motivated Americans that we are, we put up a strike package for that particular position. Hey, we want to put a JDAM on this yesterday, blow it up.
A what?
JDAM is a big missile. So we wanted to remove that position because it would make everybody safer. So we put up the strike package, got everything signed off. That particular strike package got shot down because that particular position was close to an Afghanistan cemetery. And for cultural reasons, we couldn't blow up that position. So in our minds, what we viewed that as was, hey, the American government cares more about dead Afghans than they do alive ones at this particular moment. Why are we here in the first place? These people, the Taliban guys, who would shoot at guys, they would retrograde or retreat to mosques every time they would try to shoot at either civilians or American forces.
Yeah, cover.
They knew the American military wouldn't blow up a religious site. In World War II, that wasn't the case. Anywhere there was a Nazi, we would shoot and kill them.
Here's the difference, though. There's global communication, and there's an ability to propagandize anything.
Sure.
And the minute you know it just as well as I do, the minute we nuke a mosque or something, oh, that's getting out. That's going to be a problem.
This is what we're talking about. World War II timeframe, the mentality was, if we don't do this, that's happening here. And the Japanese and the Germans, they don't care what happens in America.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I think you're 100% right about that. I'm saying that unfortunately we live in a world now where we are already in places we shouldn't be in. And you know what? If you want to blame some of this on Iraq, go ahead, because that's true. Like, that was some Halliburton bullshit going in there. So once you already went in and fucked up all those people's lives, like, if you watch documentaries of people from Iraq who talk about Iraq under Saddam before then, where certainly he was a horrible guy and there was some terrible shit going on. But like, as far as like day-to-day life, if you didn't get too involved with stuff, like, they had some normalcy. And then it was stripped from them, and it's this crazy sectarian fucking hellhole because of us going in there for no reason. So once we do that, fuck wherever it is, Afghanistan, Iraq, wherever, somewhere in the Middle East, the minute we start not appreciating certain cultural norms, they will use it against us. It's the same reason that they literally technically gave, like, Osama bin Laden an actual proper burial so that no one could hit them on it. And like, as much as like I'd like to see them fucking throw his body wherever the fuck it is, I understand why they did that, you know? So I understand this mentality, but I also get why that's very frustrating for the guys like you on the ground who are trying to do the job. To me, this is a shit or a fart situation. You're kind of fucked either way.
And this is where it gets into the area of, hey, should guys even go in the first place? Because, okay, all these poor guys, like, I was the lucky one, man. Like, I have all my fingers and all my toes, and I came back safely. There are guys that didn't. And I did so as a defense contractor, man. Like, I was not serving when I was over there. There are kids that gave life and limb for this country.
Yes.
And we're men that were doing it. And the sad part is, after all the American lives and treasure that were spent in this particular region, it all fell apart in 3 weeks. And it makes you wonder, okay, was all that sacrifice even worth it in the first place? And arguably, now the Taliban is more trained and equipped today than they were 20 years ago because of all the weapon systems that we left over. So how I feel about it is, if you're not willing to stomach the horrible atrocities that are involved in war, don't go in the first place. Because American lives are going to be spent in the process. And if you're not willing to accept the burden that comes along with war, don't ask people to go.
How do you feel about the Ukraine thing going on? And in all honesty, the fact that we have not, and I'm grateful for this, and I hope it stays this way, but we haven't technically put boots on the ground.
Yep.
But there are a lot of people, I think, who, some of whom have great intentions, who call for certain things and actions that are full-blown crazy acts of war that would require us to go put our people on the ground. What do guys like you, or just speak for yourself, like what goes through your head when you see that, knowing the realities?
There's 2 points that I feel about it. First is I'm just sad at the lives that are lost, obviously, the innocent people that are losing their lives every day, the innocent men, women, and children that have died because of Russian aggression in the region. But beyond that, I am sad that America has lost influence to the point where we used to be in a place geopolitically where we could stop that from occurring in the first place because of the overwhelming force and might of the American military. Meaning, okay, the term Pax Americana, I don't know if you've ever heard this term before.
Yes.
It's the idea that, hey, we don't invade nations in seeking territorial gain or conquest post-World War II, because if that happens, America will come to your shoreline and put a stop to it. That is not the case anymore. We are now living in a world where Russia has invaded the Ukraine for exactly that, seeking territorial gain, and there are not American forces on the ground stopping that from even occurring. So is it a big ask to ask American young service members to go and die in a nation that is not theirs? Yes, absolutely. However, I think on a long enough timeline, the world is a safer place because America has the might to stop it from even occurring.
Thank you for watching the video, guys. Please hit that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.